Hey everybody, Dave here, Hidden Freedom Investing, and welcome back to another video. In this video, I want to talk about my FIRE journey and also how I got to where I am at today. $1.76 million in basically 11 years. I'm going to go through the whole history of where I started because I'm just like you, just like most everybody is probably going to watch this video. And I started at zero and I had a fast food job. So we're gonna go year by year. We're gonna look at the debt, we're gonna look at the income, we're gonna look at the net worth, basically from when I was 18, 19 years old, all the way up until now. And I believe that videos like this can help people. Not everybody is gonna, resonate with this video, but not everybody's gonna resonate with a video where they read something that says just do this for 10 years, do this for 20 years, and you'll be able to retire early or be able to retire a multimillionaire. So some people, looking at something like this here could kind of give them an example and maybe motivate them as well, because I started with zero, just like everybody else. It wasn't a silver spoon, didn't win the lottery, okay? So if you did not see the video I did about 3 weeks ago, that was part one. You can look at that up here, and then this is gonna be part two to that video. So if you're interested in seeing part one, kind of talk about how you can become a millionaire in 10 years, or if you start earlier, or maybe even just less time than that, or in more time depending on how much money you make and if you're a power couple or something like that. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, you guys have seen this. If you've seen my channel before, this is the net worth overview or dividend portfolio overview, but it has the net worth on it, 1.761. The market did go down a little bit today. It was up like another couple thousand or something like that. So I'm getting pretty close to the $2 million mark. It's less than $250,000 away. Hopefully I can still beat Matt Money to his 1 million before I can get to 2. But if not, that's fine, because it was still a fun little journey, a little bit of a wager between us that can kind of motivate us. But so 1.761, that's where it sits at today. So let's go ahead and take a look at the history here. All right, so I got a spreadsheet up here, and this is kind of another spreadsheet. It's got a lot of tabs in it, but we're gonna just, I just put this tab together just specifically for this video. So we're gonna look at here year one, 18 years old, 1993. Okay, I'm an old fart, and shout out to all good there. So Social Security limit, don't really concern yourself too much with that. I just kind of track the Social Security limit there. Tax amount, $714. W-2 income earnings, $714. Job title, fast food. Degree, high school. Net worth, 0. Debt, 0. And obviously savings rate is just blank, and notes are kind of blank. So I did work at Burger King. This was my very first real job other than paper routes when I was in my teens, early teens. But so would you like an apple pie with that? I don't know. Let's see here. The worst thing about working at Burger King, especially late at night, was can I get 2 99-cent Whoppers with cheese? But the cheese is 50 cents, so it brought the 99-cent Whoppers to $1.50. So they couldn't understand that. Can I get 2 99-cent Whoppers with cheese? But anyways, it's kind of funny. It was an interesting job, but I'm glad I don't have to work at fast food ever again. Knock on some wood. So, all right, let's go ahead down here to year two here. So year two, still in high school. So 93, 94, I was still in high school, all right? So yes, I was in high school at age 19. Okay, I didn't graduate until I was about 19 and a half, because I did stay back in 3rd grade because I had trouble reading, trouble writing, trouble freaking paying attention, trouble just staying out of trouble, chasing all the girls. Probably, obviously not, but anyway, Social Security limit, like I said, don't worry about that. So W-2 earnings, so almost $10,000. All right, so that year that I did quit, or I did graduate high school, I did graduate, by the way, I did get a different paying job. So that's the reason why the earnings kind of jumped up, and that's the reason why it's fast food / tech. So I did work for a popular alarm company, ADT, which, everybody's probably heard of ADT. I worked for ADT for a long time. Got hired there when I was about 20 years old, 19, 20 years old. applied for the position off of a bulletin board system, a BBS. If you're familiar, maybe you're not familiar with that, you probably have to be a Gen X or older to understand what a BBS is. But I got paid pretty well, about starting $8 an hour just to train, and it was a couple of weeks worth of training, so I was way more than I was making at Burger King, which I started at $4.25 an hour, and then got pushed up. I got a humongous freaking bonus and raise at Burger King and went to $4.50 an hour. All right, let's bring this down here to year 3 and 20 years old. Like I said, I moved on to technician / ADT. For a 20-year-old, I was making anywhere about $20 an hour. Was it $20 an hour? About $10 an hour, $10 to $12 an hour actually. It was piecework. I was installing alarms for about a year or so. Installed alarms in residential and commercial. So as a 20-year-old, I was bringing down the big bucks. And obviously, as a 20-year-old, I mean, I didn't spend it like crazy. I didn't go out and snort cocaine off of ass cracks. But so I really just, honestly, a lot of the money was just going to my car because I had a car obsession, and to make it going fast, I've had a lot of nice cars over the years, but maybe I'll show a couple of the cars throughout the video as well, just for fun. So that brings us down here to year 4, so 21 years old, 1996, and the W2 earnings is $23,884, still a technician, still just have a high school degree or high school diploma, whatever you want to call that. Net worth, I'm not really tracking that. Debt, don't really have any. I probably had some credit cards, but it was so many years ago, I don't know if that's the case or not. So still a technician, and then I actually think I got promoted to an hourly wage from piecemeal, because I was installing, alarm systems, and those were piecemeal, so I'd make anywhere from $100 to $200 or $300 a day. And then I went to be a technician, and that's where I was just going out to repair fire systems, alarm systems, commercial and residential. And I think I started out about $12 an hour or so at that time. That moves down here to year 5, and year 5, let's see here, age 22, 1997, and income is still about $23,000, still a technician, still high school, so that brings us down here to year 6, 23 years old, and the income is going up a little bit, and so that's $24,643 of income. And then you notice over here, debt, about 20 grand. So in 1998, I did decide to go to a technical college for an electronics degree. So that's where I started taking out some debt. And a lot of these numbers are just, off the top of my head. I know it was about that much, but I don't know the exact amount. So it was about $23,000, and I was working full-time during the day, and I was also going to school full-time at night for roughly about 6 hours. So let's go ahead and scroll down here. So year 7, 24 years old, 1999, and let's see here. That brings the earnings to $45 technician, high school still the debt's about $20,000. So there's the technician, and I probably got switched to another position or something like that, and because I moved quite a few positions, and or they might have given me a raise as well. So that's about $13 an hour or something like that. So let's go ahead and scroll down here. Still going to school, obviously, and then year 2000 is the year I graduated with my first AA. And then you can see the earnings there go up to $35,000 a year. And I know for sure when I left that job, I was making $16 an hour. I didn't leave that job until I believe in 2000. So I might have left that year there. I got my first AA there. That was an associate's degree in electronics. Total debt about $25,000, because I actually got my AA right when I got that. I turned around and went right back to school for for networking, computer networking. So that's where I took on a little bit more debt there. If we scroll down a little bit more here, and then year age 26, 2001, making $40,000. So I know in 2001, I switched jobs and worked at Hewlett Packard, and I was getting paid about $17 to $18 an hour, because I did switch to nights eventually. And I also finished my second AA in networking, so $25,000 in debt there. Net worth still zero, because I probably owed money on the cars, and probably also owed debt here for school. And then it says obviously engineer/military. So I did join the military in 2001, did not go to active duty until 2002. And then that's why you see the big jump down in W-2 earnings there. So $17,345 military. Still have 2 associate's degrees, still have $25,000 in debt. And obviously when you're in the military, you're working 24 hours a day, you're getting paid peanuts. So when you see your military people, you know, just know that they don't get paid big bucks until they've been in for roughly about 6 to 10 years, and especially if they're married, you can start pulling down some pretty good bank then. So here it brings us down to year 11, 28, age 28, 2003. Still obviously in the military there, we have 2 AAs. And the debt's still about $25,000 because you got to understand, when I got in the military, I started working on my bachelor's almost right away. Okay, not quite right away because there's stuff that they need you to do and all that. And I couldn't focus on both, and that's the reason why it's still kind of hanging here at $25,000 because those loans were deferred. That brings us down here to year 12, age 29, and obviously the income has gone up a little bit. So I got promoted, I got senior airman below the zone and made senior airman, which is the 3rd stripe. I made that 6 months early, and also got promoted to staff sergeant relatively in a quick amount of time. I made staff sergeant faster than most people would because I came in with 2 stripes, obviously, because I already had education. And I already had a bunch of certifications, my MCSE and all that stuff. So they recognized that, so they did promote me about as quick as they possibly could. $24,000 I made there in that particular year. Took on a little bit more debt for my bachelor's. And you scroll down here, age 30. And so there's $70,000. So in 2004, I got out early. They offered what's called Palace Chase, and I was an overmanned career field, so I did get out early. Spent about, I don't know, 2.5, 3 years in active duty, and then another 2 years in reserves. So that's what part of the Palace Chase agreement. So there, I got out in 2004, started looking for a job, didn't get hired till later that year, and I worked at Kaiser Permanente. And I worked in their data center there. So $70,000, I think I started at $65,000 right out of the gate. And I had to work 12-hour nights, 4 days on, 4 days off, 3 days on, 3 days off. So debt kind of went up because I'm working on my bachelor's still. And I'm pretty much going to school at night, and it was all online. So $35,000 in debt still. So we scroll down here to year 14, 31 years old, 2006. We got the W-2 earnings at $69,000. Basically, I was a systems engineer for Kaiser, BSIT, so I did get my bachelor's in 2006. That's completed. And then you can obviously see the debt go up because I actually bought another car. In 2006, I had bought a Porsche. I think it was in 2006. So I did buy a Porsche, but I also did buy a house, and I'm not showing the debt for the house on here because I'm not really going to count that in there, but the house was like $230,000. Are you chasing fire? Comment below. For future videos, go ahead and like and subscribe and set that bell notification. Scrolling on down here, we can see year 15, age 32, $79,000, engineer still, bachelor's, and I was still working for Kaiser, and then actually switched jobs in 2007 to one of the well-known defense contractors, which people probably have heard of. So I did switch to a defense contractor and got started with about, I think $79,000, $80,000 out of the gate. Debt still about $65,000, and the bachelor's is already, I think I had started paying on them then because I didn't go back to school. So once the bachelor's was finished, I started to pay on the loans, but I also had some cars as well, or at least I had 3 cars at the time. And obviously just one had a loan on it, but it was a pretty significant loan. So that brings us down here to year 16, age 33, 2008, $79,000, still engineer, BSIT, $61,000. So I had started to pay some of those loans back. So that brings us down here to year 17, 2009, $92,000, so making a little bit more money. Obviously by that defense contractor, getting promoted. And right when I started that defense contractor in about 2007 or so, I immediately started a master's program because they pay for, I don't remember how much it was, up to $7,000 a year or something like that. So I went ahead and immediately started doing that when I started at the new company. The only thing that they ask is that you give them a full year after you're done. So that is what I did. So 2007, I enrolled in an MIS program, so that's Masters of Information Systems, and obviously, continued to pay down the debt. But once I started that Masters, that is when the schools got deferred. School loans got deferred again, but so some of those loans just have to do with me paying off that Porsche that I owned, and then later switched to a Corvette, which were, each one of those about $35,000. So I started paying off those slowly but surely. I think they're 5-year loans. Brings us down here to 18. Our year 18, 35 years old, 2010. So, it's kind of marked in yellow here. I did switch jobs in 2010 and moved to the East Coast, worked for another defense contractor out there, and I switched mid-year. So they started me at $130,000. So obviously, I had my master's, so I kind of fought for a higher wage if I could get it, especially in the area that I was living. I was in Maryland, and that kind of area, just as the cost of living is kind of high. And the debt kind of went down to $48,000 because I did get rid of the Corvette, so that was gone. And then I did sell the other car or the other truck, and then I only kept one car, which still had a loan on it. So I still had school loans, and I still had a car loan, which roughly probably had about, I think, $18,000 to $16,000 left on just the car loan. And that is also when I flipped the house to be a rental. So my first house that I ever owned in my life, I flipped to be a rental in the mid-year of 2010. Scrolling down here, year 19, age 36, 2011. And so about, I think, the later part of 2011 or so, obviously I started paying that debt down pretty good. I bought a house earlier that year, a second rental, and I think I paid $93,000, I believe it was. So $93,000 for that house. It was in Arizona. And I switched jobs in the late 2010, by the way, and they started me out about 150 to 155 with a bonus. So that's when I switched jobs about later part. It was almost the end of 2010. And then 2011, let me see, the later part of 2011, I went to go work overseas, which we'll talk about here in a second. So that's where you see the net worth kind of going up a little bit, because I started saving a lot more money. I started making more money. I started saving more money. And obviously, I still had a car loan. And obviously, I still had some student loans. Scroll down here to 2012, and you can kind of see the income jump up here to 223. I was working out there in the desert, and they were paying me a boatload of money to work out there. It was my normal wage, so it was like 150 something, plus there's a 15% uplift, plus they're paying me cost of living, plus they're paying for my food, plus they're paying for my housing. So I got to pretty much bank almost $20,000 every single month. And that's when I really started to pay off a lot of the debt. Okay, so I started to really pay off that car, and I probably paid it off in 2012 completely. So that's what's left here is $23,000, and that was just student loans at that point. The car loan, which was $16,000 coming in to roughly about 2012, got paid off completely. And then the net worth, you can kind of see, and these numbers are just guesstimates. I know they're pretty close, but it would probably be about $100,000 in 2012. Let's go to 2013 right here. Income kind of dropped a little bit down to 186 because I left the desert in about mid 2013 or so. And obviously you can see the net worth go up to about $265,000. Debt comes down to $22,000. That's what's left on the student loans. And there was no high priority to pay those student loans off. There was fixed at 3.75%. So honestly, I was paying the minimum amount because I didn't really care. I thought I could get a higher income or higher return out of the stock market. All right, so that brings us down here to year 39, 2014. $166,000, so I'm back on my normal wage a full year there. And obviously, net worth went up to $380,000. Obviously, the debt has come down a little bit. And you also kind of see on the right-hand side over here, savings rate 40%. Found fire, so I did find fire in 2014. And obviously, that's the reason why I started tracking the savings rate there. So, I was sitting in hotels about 6 months out of the year, and I was, trying to find ways so I could quit work early so I can go hike the Appalachian Trail. If you're not familiar with my other channel, Hidden Off Grid, go ahead and take a look at the channel up here. I would appreciate it if you subscribe to that channel and support me over there. Trying to get that channel to 1,000 subscribers, so it gives me more motivation to film my journey on the Appalachian Trail next year every single day, because there's a lot of work involved with filming and editing and uploading when you're on the trail, and having 1,000 subscribers would be a major motivation factor, so I'd appreciate it if you support me over there. So I did find fire in 2014, so that's when I started tracking the savings rate there, and that was, I think, mid to late 2014, if I'm not mistaken. So that's the reason why the savings rate was kind of low. Obviously, when I was working overseas, pretty much everything I was making was getting banked, so I kind of got used to that. I've really caught on. It was kind of became addictive, to be honest with you. The more you save, the more you invest, it just becomes addictive. It did for me anyway. So I'm like, can I increase this up to 45? Can I increase this up to 50? So that's what I did. So $308,000 net worth roughly in 2014. Scroll down here, 2015, age 40 there, and 160, so my income kind of remained about the same. Obviously, kind of the bonus kind of makes it get adjusted a little bit there. $580,000 in 2015 was the net worth. We're obviously bringing the student loans down to $20,000, and obviously you can see the savings rate go up to 50% there. So I'm slowly increasing it. I was going to work about mid-year and going to work in Seattle, and I worked over in Seattle. So I was living at a hotel, and obviously when I'm over there, they're paying for my food, they're paying for my housing. But I still had an apartment here, so I was paying for the apartment here, expensive apartment to store all my shit, right? So yeah, but I didn't have to pay for food, I didn't have to pay for, obviously when I'm not here, I'm not using electricity and all that stuff. So the bills did come down a little bit, and food in general probably would have saved me about $500 a month. So I did save a little bit more because I was living out of a hotel. That brings down here to age 41, 2016. Net worth roughly about $750,000. Income 178. Got realized some stock that I had and all that stuff that the company gives you, because honestly, managers tell you that you're maxed out for your career field. You can't go any higher. So what they normally do, for me anyways, they give me, like $15,000 in stock or something like that. That would vest out over like 4 years. So I had that for like several years. So, every single year they'd give me, $10,000 or $15,000. And then by the time, I think it was 1 year to get invested. So, by the second or third year, you're having like many years get invested. So it was pretty big bonus there I would get kind of. So net worth $750,000 net. So the debt is still about $19,000. Savings rate, you can see that go up to $80,000. By the way, this savings rate here is take-home pay only, okay? So that's not including 401k match, HSA, or anything like that, all right? That's just straight take-home pay savings rate, all right? I'm not counting paying off debt in there or anything like that. That's basically, if I get paid $6,000 a month and I'm putting away $5,000 of that or something, then I'll take $5,000 and divide it by 6,000, and that gives me the savings rate roughly, right? So no notes there. So let's scroll down here. Age 42, 2017 here, $165,000 of income. And by the way, also should note this W-2 earnings here does not include any other earnings other than my 9-to-5 job, all right? Now, obviously, I have a lot of dividends coming in. I have a lot of stock trading coming in. I have a lot of other rent coming in and all that stuff, okay? So I have rentals, right? And so that is strictly just W-2 income, obviously, all right? All right, so basically crossed the $1 million mark in 2017. I remember that day, okay? It was mid-2017, about June or July. I think it was July. and I hit that number, and that is, I remember when I hit that number because when I paid off the student loans, the last bit of it, I decided to pay those off because I said, you know what, paying this off really doesn't affect my net worth at all, really, because the money was sitting somewhere else. So while I was to pay that off, and I just took the money out of that account, put it in there, paid it off. So there you go, hit the $1 million mark, and now I'm officially debt free. Obviously I could have paid it off a long time ago, right? 57% savings rate there for 2017. Scrolling down here to age 20, excuse me, age 26, yeah, I wish. Age 43, 2018. Senior engineer still, you know, making 160 something odd $1,000. And then this, obviously, I started tracking the net worth pretty closely, so I know these numbers are accurate. $1.15 million there in age 43, 2018. 60% savings rate there. Sold my second rental, okay, so I paid $93,000 for it. I sold it for $169,000, and obviously, you know, you got to pay depreciation recapture, you got to pay capital gains and all that stuff. So I did do a carryback on that house, so it is getting split out by 30 years, but still, you know, it's not, you know, and then you got to pay commissions too, which is a boatload of money. So it's not like I made the difference between $169,000 and $93,000 or $94,000, all right? So I think it was about $78,000 total in gains / you know, depreciation and recapture. Brings down here to age 44 here, 2019, and $164,000. So that has kind of remained about the same there, depending on what my bonus is. And then about $1.35 million. And I started my YouTube channel in 2019, so we're almost 2 years old at this point on YouTube. 68% savings rate there, and I sold my last rental there. Paid $230 for it. I put quite a bit of money into it to basically finish the basement. Sold that house for $390,000. Paid a boatload of commissions and paid depreciation recapture and paid a boatload of capital gains. So I think it was $60,000 I owed just for that alone. So, you know, $1.35 million. Scrolling down here to 2020, this was last year, $167,000. And obviously brought my net worth up to $1.5 million. 70% savings rate, and that's take home, remember that, okay? And obviously that money that took out of those rentals, I put into a bunch of investments, real estate, notes, and put into the dividend portfolio. If you're not familiar with my dividend portfolio, go ahead and take a look at the latest one up here if you're interested in that. So it's generating a little over $22,000 to $23,000 annually right now. Are you still on track to fire? Comment below. For future videos, go ahead and like and subscribe and set that bell notification. And that brings us down here to age 46, which I am age 46 right now. $172,000. I did get a raise last year, pretty substantial one actually, considering I haven't got a lot of raises at this companies over the years. The biggest raises you get in life, by the way, are when you switch companies. So just, you know, remember that, all right? So if you stay at a company for 10 years, unless you get a raise every year, you're actually getting behind. So it makes sense to try to change jobs every 5 to 10 years if you can. You'll get a big jump. Every time I've, you know, got a, jump, I went from $65,000 to $78,000. From roughly about $82,000 to $130,000, from $130,000 to $150,000, and then $150,000 all the way up to $170,000. So when you change jobs, that's when you get your biggest increases. Obviously, if you can actually increase your education and get that paid for by your company, heck, do that, right? I only owed them a year, and I actually left earlier, so I actually had to pay for one class. It was only $1,500, but think about it. My whole master's is paid for by the company I work for. All right, now the bachelor's is partially paid for by the company I work for, not to mention the military, the reserves, and active duty, all right? So, all right, so we're at age 46, 2021 there, $172,000, 1.75. We're just above that right now. As of today, we're at 1.76. And I'm looking, my goal for the savings rate this particular year is roughly about 65% of my take-home pay. All right, and I'm pretty much on track for that. So, matter of fact, I'll show you kind of a glimpse of how I track that, by the way. And then that brings us down here to year 30, and that's the year I plan on retiring. So next year in roughly late April, early May. So that I'll be 47 years old. So year 2022. And I think by the time I quit, I'll have brought in about $70,000 in wages on my W-2 job. And I'm hoping, keeping the fingers crossed, that I can hit the $2 million mark. If the market gives me 5% to 7% over the next 10 to 9 months or so, I'll be able to crack that $2 million by the time I retire. And that'll be a great little gift to myself. Obviously, if I don't meet that number, that's fine. My projection's showing me about 1.95, somewhere around there. So it's going to be close. If the market cooperates and gives me 5 to 7%, I should cross that $2 million mark, no problem. And I don't really have a savings rate. I don't really care about the savings rate when I retire at that point. So scrolling down here, the very last numbers, obviously my W-2 wages, my entire career there, so that's literally about 30 years of working, is about $2.74 million. So I was just tracking the Social Security wages over here because obviously this is the max that you're taxed at for the Social Security, and I'm just trying to keep track of that to kind of get an idea of what my Social Security income will be at full retirement age or even early retirement age. So, and I told you I'd kind of show you how I track those numbers, and obviously, so in 2015 I was only tracking savings by month and investment return by month there. All right, so the savings by month, so $48,000, and then savings by month in 2016, $80,000, and that's how I kind of got the 80%. And then savings by month there, you know, $56,000. I'm not including the investment return by month, but this gives you an idea. And then so 2018 savings by month, $60,000, and I think, you know, I was bringing home like $100,000 or something. So that's kind of just easy math, right? 60 divided by 100, and then you get to the 60% number. And then that brings us to 2019. I started throwing some other stuff in there. So I brought capital gains in there, I brought dividends in there, and brought interest in there in 2019. So $68,000 in just savings alone, capital gains, what, $6,900. Dividends, $1,700. That's when I kind of started the dividend portfolio, kind of later that year / early 2020. Interest there, $1,700. So total income of $78,000. And then scrolling down here, 2020. This was last year. Savings by month, $68,000 in savings last year. Capital gains, $18,000. Dividends there, $6,400. Interest was $892 for a total amount there of $93,958. And that brings us to 2021. And this is the year. So we're kind of, you can see me tracking the numbers here. So January, February, March, April, May, we're in June now. So savings by month there, we're up to $24,000 I've already saved this year. Capital gains, $24,000 I've already realized. So I got to pay some darn freaking taxes. Options there, options income's going very well, $26,560 there. And then we got the dividends, obviously we're at $6,100. That's projected to be about, in that account, I think about it's going to be about 20 grand. So talking about the tax, because the only thing I'm tracking here is just all taxable stuff. I'm not talking about the tax deferred stuff at all. So all these numbers is just taxable stuff. So I think the dividends are roughly about $19,000, $18,000 to $19,000 this year. Trying to get the options income to about $48,000 this year. Don't really want to realize any more capital gains, but it is what it is. So, and then next year we're looking to retire there. That's why I have retirement there for April. So that's kind of how I track my numbers. So that's it for this video. I hope that this type of video kind of shows you that I started, you know, working at fast food, worked my way up, went to school at night. I went to school at night my entire life, all right? So associate's degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree was always at night, and it was almost all online except for the associate's degrees. So it kind of gives you an idea. Look, I started at freaking zero, just like everybody else did. I had a bunch of debt, had a bunch of cars, all right? Spent a bunch of money on cars. Or had I not done that, I would have been able to retire a lot earlier with a lot more. So, but I just want to let you know, hey, I didn't win the lottery. I did not get any money passed down to me. So pretty much everybody can do what I do. Obviously, I have a higher income than most people do. I get that. You can only do the best you can do, right? You can get a better paying job. You can move up the career field, or you can also get certifications, or you can possibly even get higher education as well. All right, I took out loans just like everybody else does. All right, so obviously if you can get it paid for by your company, even better. All right, well, this ends this video. If any comments, questions, or concerns, please leave me a comment down below. Hit me up on my social media as well, Facegram, Twitter. You can shoot me an email if you want as well. So until next time, please go ahead and like and subscribe, and we'll see you next video. Thanks for watching.